Hello and welcome to today's Bible study Sabbath lesson. And the title of today's Bible study lesson is Corruption in the Land Bringeth Violence. So the first chapter we are going to begin with is 1 Corinthians 15:3, and we are reading from the King James Bible. So let's begin. I'll be right with you. What should I read? I'm going to read first what the word corrupt means. The definition of the word corrupt from the Strong's Bible Dictionary reads, to be corrupt, be ruined, be marred, to destroy, bring to ruin, destroyed, corruptors, and corrupter. So look like you have a corrupter, and then what they do, it corrupts, destroys. So that's what the word corrupt means. So 1 Corinthians 15:13 reads, wait a minute, that's wrong. I'm sorry, 15:33. Be not deceived. Evil communications corrupt good manners. Awake to righteousness and sin not, for some have not the knowledge of God. I speak this to your shame. Evil communications corrupt good manners. If you're communicating, having a conversation with the wrong words, or in a conversation with someone and they're saying the wrong words, it'll corrupt your good manners. So now we're going to look at the book of Genesis, chapter 6, verse 12. Hallelujah. Have your way, Father. You got it? Mm-hmm. Genesis chapter 6, verse 12 reads, and God looked upon the earth, and behold, it was corrupt, for all flesh had corrupted his way upon the earth. Verse 13, and God said unto Noah, the end of all flesh is come before me, for the earth is filled with violence through them. And behold, I will destroy them with the earth. So you see that Father was looking upon the earth, and he had seen the corruption upon the land. And he told Noah that he was going to destroy the earth, and he was going to destroy the wicked with the earth. So because of the corruption in the land, it brings violence. It's corruption in the land. So now we're going to look at what the definition of reprobate means. And it means failing the test, worthless, a corrupt spirit. And in my notes I put, a reprobate mind will cause you to do evil and wicked things, even things you never thought you'd do. So now we're going to go into the book of Romans, and we're going to read chapter 1 to verse 30. Chapter 1 and 32. I think I wrote that right. Yes. 1. Yes. We're going to start from, we're going to see what happened to cause these things to happen to these people that knew the truth but started to want to do their own things. And they didn't want to have a relationship with the Father. So we're going to start from Romans 1 and 21. Sorry. And that brought corruption too. It's going to show you what a corrupt spirit is. Just in case you didn't know, this is going to let you know the things that happen when you corrupt, when there's corruption. Okay, Romans 1 and 21. Because that when they knew God, they glorified him not as God, neither were thankful, but became vain in their imaginations, and their foolish heart was darkened. So you see that it says when they knew God, they glorified him not as God, neither were thankful. So they neither praised him, nor were they thankful, but became vain in their imaginations. So meaning that the way their thoughts became wrong thoughts. It became corrupt thoughts. And then it says, and their foolish heart was darkened. That means their thoughts corrupted, well, we might well say their whole body, because the heart is part of it. But their heart was darkened because of it. Verse 22. Professing themselves to be wise, they became fools. Verse 23. And changed the glory of the uncorruptible God into an image made like to corruptible man, and to birds, and four-footed beasts, and creeping things. So they changed Father's glory unto something uncorruptible, and into an image like to corruptible man. So that could be the statues, or that could be some kind of a picture, or something they started making which was corrupt. Because it said they started making things like to birds and four-footed beasts and creeping things. It was corrupt things that they started making. Images, statues. Verse 24. Wherefore God also gave them up to uncleanness through the lust of their own hearts, to dishonor their own bodies between themselves. And he gave them over to these things because because they had corrupted themselves, and because of where their heart was. He gave them over to the lust of their own hearts, the things that they was lusting after. He gave them over to those things. Verse 25. Who changed the truth of God into a lie, and worshiped and served the creature more than the Creator, who is blessed forever. Amen. So they had done changed from worshiping God to worshiping these things they started making.
Worshiping the creature.
Yeah.
More than the Creator. Wow. Turn their backs on God.
Verse 26. For this cause God gave them up unto vile affections, for even their women did change the natural use into that which is against nature. So they started having wicked affections for one another. So you see, one corrupt thing started leading towards another corrupt thing. One thing after the next. Verse 27. And likewise also the men, leaving the natural use of the woman, burned in their lust one toward another, men with men, working that which is unseemly, and receiving in themselves that recompense of their error, which was meet. So we don't need to go into that, because this pretty explains what happens when two men get together. But that's part of the corrupt thinking and heart too. Verse 28. And even as they did not like to retain God in their knowledge, God gave them over to a reprobate mind to do those things which are not convenient. That's a corrupt spirit. 29. Being filled with all unrighteousness, fornication, wickedness, covetousness, maliciousness, full of envy, murder, debate, deceit, malignity, whisperers, backbiters, haters of God, despiteful, proud, boasters, inventors of evil things, disobedient to parents, without understanding, covenant breakers, without natural affection, implacable, unmerciful, who knowing the judgment of God, that they which commit such things are worthy of death, not only do the same, but have pleasure in them that do them.
He covered everything.
He sure did. And they know the truth. Because it say, who knowing the judgment of God, that they which commit such things are worthy of death, not only do the same, but have pleasure in them that do them.
Mm-hmm.
So they're applauding and they take pleasure in them that is corrupt and doing the same things that they're doing. They take pleasure in that, even though they know it's wrong. And these are the things that happen when you're corrupt. These are the things that's going on in the land.
Mm-hmm.
All these things I just named are things that's going on in the world. All these things are happening because of corruption of people's hearts and their minds being corrupted. And with corruption comes violence. And when we look around, we can see unrighteousness in the land. We can see fornication in the land. We can see wickedness in the land, covetousness, people going after stuff, going even taking things that don't belong to them because they see it. People taking stuff off of their neighbors' porches, like we done seen on TV, where on the news, where they drop the package off and then somebody from probably the neighborhood come and pick it up and take it. That's covetousness, because you're not supposed to want anything that your neighbor has. And then you see maliciousness. I think maliciousness is like another type of anger or wrath. That's in the land. Then it says full of envy. Murder, that's in the land. But guess what? It's nothing new under the sun. Then you got debate. You see a lot of that going on. Deceit, malignity, whisperers, backbiters, haters of God, despiteful, proud, boasters, inventors of evil things. And you see a lot of stuff being invented that's evil. Those are evil things. Disobedient to parents, without understanding, covenant breakers, without natural affection, implacable, unmerciful. Don't even have natural affection for others anymore.
Mm-hmm.
With corruption, all these things come with it. Mm-hmm. And God's judgment will be upon those that do those things. Because it say, who knowing the judgment of God, that they which commit such things are worthy of death. Not only do they do the same, but have pleasure in them that do them. So now we're going to go to the book of Genesis. Started with verse 1. Wait a minute. That's not correct. That's not it. Sorry about that. It's got to be Give me a minute, please. Let's see, it's in 4. Okay, here it goes. It's on verse 4. I'm kind of sleepy. Genesis 4. And we're just going to start with 4 and 1 in the book of Genesis. You got it, honey?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Genesis 4 and 1. And Adam knew Eve his wife, and she conceived, and bare Cain, and said, I have gotten a man from the Lord. Verse 2. And she again bare his brother Abel. And Abel was a keeper of sheep, but Cain was a tiller of the ground. Verse 3. And in process of time, it came to pass that Cain brought of the fruit of the ground an offering unto the Lord. So you see right there where it says Cain brought of the fruit of the ground an offering unto the Lord.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to show you the difference of them. Verse 4. And Abel, he also brought of the firstlings of his flock and of the fat thereof, and the Lord had respect unto Abel and to his offering. So there's a difference because Abel brought the firstlings of his flock and of the fat thereof. And Cain brought of the fruit of the ground an offering unto the Lord. So it doesn't say it was the first of what he had.
Mm-hmm.
It just said he brought of the fruit of the ground and an offering. But Abel brought the firstlings of his flock and of the fat thereof. And the Lord had respect unto Abel and to his offering. Verse 5. But unto Cain and to his offering he had not respect. And Cain was very wroth, and his countenance fell. Verse 6. And the Lord said unto Cain, Why art thou wroth, and why is thy countenance fallen? Verse 7. If thou doest well, shall thou not be accepted? And if thou dost not well, sin lieth at the door, and unto thee shall be his desire, and thou shalt rule over him. Verse 8. And Cain talked with Abel his brother, and it came to pass, when they were in the field, that Cain rose up against Abel his brother, and slew him. See, that was that spirit of murder. That opened the door to the spirit of murder. So, because he became jealous or envious of his brother Abel, that was his reaction.
Mm-hmm.
So that opened the door up to jealousy, to murder, to envy. So now we're going to look at Genesis 19, chapter 1. Yeah, chapter 1. Got 19, 1 through 8. Okay. Genesis 19, starting with verse 1. And there came 2 angels to Sodom at even, and Lot sat in the gate of Sodom. And Lot, seeing them, rose up to meet them, And he bowed himself with his face toward the ground. Verse 2, and he said, Behold now, my lords, turn in, I pray you, into your servant's house, and tarry all night, and wash your feet, and ye shall rise up early, and go on your ways. And they said, Nay, but we will abide in the street all night. Verse 3, and he pressed upon them greatly, and they turned in unto him, and entered into his house, and he made them a feast, and did bake unleavened bread, and they did eat. Verse 4, but before they lay down, the men of the city, even the men of Sodom, compassed that house round, both old and young, all the people from every quarter. So there was more that was joined to them. It say for all the people from every quarter.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Verse 5, and they called unto Lot and said unto him, Where are the men which came into thee this night? Bring them out unto us, that we may know them. Verse 6, and Lot went out at the door unto them, and shut the door after him. Verse 7, and said, I pray you, brethren, do not so wickedly. Verse 8, Behold, now I have 2 daughters which have not known man. Let me, I pray you, bring them out unto you, and do ye to them as is good in your eyes. Only unto these men do nothing, for therefore came they under the shadow of my roof. And they said, Stand back. And they said again, This one fellow came in to surgeon, and he will needs to be a judge. Now will we deal worse with thee than with them. And they pressed sore upon the men, even Lot, and came near to break the door. But the men put forth their hand and pulled Lot into the house to them, and shut the door. And they smote the men that were at the door of the house with blindness, both small and great, so that they wearied themselves to find the door. And the men said unto Lot, Hast thou here any besides son-in-law, and thy sons and thy daughters, and whatsoever thou hast in the city, bring them out of this place. So you can see from that those men, the imaginations of their mind and their hearts were wicked.
Mm-hmm.
The spirit of homosexuality and unkindness was in that land as well. They didn't want anything good for the angels that came in there. They wanted to do wicked things to them. And it says even small. It was small and great. So that means it was little ones too that was involved in that section of men that were after the angels, trying to get to the angels during that time. And then you can imagine how many it was, because it said from every quarter, that means it was more than them. They came out from everywhere. Corrupt people. And that spirit of homosexuality was even in those times. So there's nothing new under the sun. It's just that each year, each generation, it looked like it just ramps up an upgrade from back, each year. So now we're going to look at Genesis. Why just put 30? Verse 30. Hallelujah. Okay, that's in verse 19 and 36. Genesis 19 and 36. And we're going to look at this because that spirit of incest was in the land, even in the times of Lot in the Old Testament. Mm-hmm. What is it? Oh, 36, 36, 36. Okay. Starting with we're going to start from verse 30. And Lot went up out of Zoar and dwelt in the mountain, and his two daughters with him. For he feared to dwell in Zoar, and he dwelt in a cave, he and his two daughters. And the firstborn said unto the younger, Our father is old, and there is not a man in the earth to come in unto us after the manner of all the earth. Come, let us make our father drink wine, and we will lie with him, that we may preserve seed of our father. And they made their father drink wine that night, and the firstborn went in and lay with her father, and he perceived not when she lay down, nor when she arose. And it came to pass on the morrow, that the firstborn said unto the younger, Behold, I lay yesternight with my father. Let us make him drink wine this night also, and go thou in and lie with him, that we may preserve seed of our father. And they made their father drink wine that night also. And the younger arose and lay with him. And he perceived not when she lay down, nor when she arose. Thus were both the daughters of Lot with child by their father. And the firstborn bare a son and called his name Moab, the same as the father of the Moabites this day. And the younger she also bare a son, and called his name Benami, the same is the father of the children of Ammon unto this day. So you see, there was incest in the land then.
Mm-hmm.
There is nothing new under the sun. That spirit was there then,